5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This is Deducter bringing you set 3 of STX Soul vs SK Telecom 1. Today we have Godzilla, or Kal, playing for STX as the TO Protoss in the 7 o'clock position, and we have Paralyze, the man with the pro gamer with the most interesting afro. In fact, the only pro gamer who I know of who has an afro, playing as the red Protoss at the 1 o'clock position. Paralyze is a relatively new player. He's only played 13 games, of which he is 46%. Not too bad for a rookie, but in PvP, he only has a 25% win rate. But that's only over 4 games, so it's a little hard to say how good he may or may not be in that matchup. Kal, of course, arguably the best player on STX Soul. One of their stalwarts. He's always performed well in Pro League. In general, quite a well-rounded player. His main weakness is that he does not seem to cope very well with the best of the best. Jaedong, for instance, always destroys him, or almost always. I think there was once when Kal beat Jaedong in the best of, but every other time they've met, Jaedong always destroys Kal. It looks like both players going for their first gateway now. No sort of 12 Nexus insanity coming from either one of them. The map is New Bloody Ridge. And it looks like the main difference here is that Paralyze is sending out his probe to do a little scouting now. And maybe he wants to just make sure that he knows what Kal is doing, but actually he's sort of put his probe at this choke point in the middle here. So I guess he just wants to try to delay Kal's scout. No, he's sending his probe out again now. Not quite sure why he paused there. Maybe he was anticipating a probe coming, and he was hoping he would be able to catch Kal there and forcing Kal to go go around in the longer way. Not sure. Regardless, Paralyze is going to see what the deal in Kal's base is now, and he's not going to see anything out of the ordinary. I would like to see how Kal has been doing in recent times. He's sort of dropped off the map a little ever since I think it was 2 MSLs ago, or maybe it was more than that. It might have been 3 MSLs ago, I forget. Actually, I think this was the first time Flash and Jaedong met in the MSL, so that was quite a few MSLs ago where Kal was absolutely destroyed by Jaedong. This is by now ancient history, but you know, people were saying Jaedong looked a little weak, and then Jaedong absolutely obliterated Kal in 3 games where Kal had no chance whatsoever at any point in that series. And then he won the MSL against Flash. So it looks like Cybernetics Core is just spinning now for Kal. And Paralyze has actually got his core a bit later. I'm not sure whether he's put down a second gateway earlier. Yeah. No, it's not that. I'm not quite sure why his core is actually so late. It's a little odd. I'm not quite familiar with what this build is. I doubt it was a mistake. Surely it must be some sort of economy build. Perhaps he focused a bit more on probe production or something. It looks like Kal is pushing out Dragoon, Zealot, and a probe here. He's moving his Zealot back for some reason, but he's got a Dragoon and a probe moving up front. Probably going to pick a bit at these Zealots, but he's not going to be able to accomplish much. Paralyze has his own Dragoon now. Kal should probably try to back up now. I guess Kal was trying to use this opportunity to sneak his probe by. Nice play by Kal. He's going to... But the probe doesn't quite see anything critical. I mean, he sees 2 pylons and gateway. That's really not quite enough information for him. Robotics support bay going down for Kal now. Paralyze also trying to sneak his probe by Kal. Not really going to have much luck either. So neither player really getting the sort of scouting information that they want now. Paralyze putting down a Nexus, major divergence here. If Kal spots this, he's surely going to respond with some sort of aggressive attack. Probably going to put down a support bay as opposed to observatory and try to do a early assault. Certainly he cannot allow Paralyze to keep that expansion unmolested. That would not work very well. Perhaps he'll respond by putting down his own expansion. I don't know yet. Looks like Kal is moving his units into position, possibly for a bit of attack. Let's see how good his micro is. Paralyze actually outnumbers Kal by 1 Zealot, and of course he has a shorter supply route. It looks like both players loses a Dragoon, and Kal has managed to cleverly sneak a Zealot by. So he's going to now get the scouting information. He sees the new expansion. He sees 2 more gateways going down. So he knows what the deal is coming from Paralyze. Let's see how Kal responds to this. So, and he even managed to kill a probe with that Zealot. Very nice play there. I think Kal's going to put down his own expansion, judging by the fact that he moved his probe out to his natural. He's got 4 Dragoons, and it looks like Paralyze might be making a bit of a push out now. Kal putting down his robotic support bay second, after the observatory first, which is usually what happens. Usually you do not go for the robotic support bay first. So it looks like Paralyze is trying to move his troops into a bit of a position potentially for contain. Kal does have a tech advantage. I haven't even seen a robotics bay coming from Paralyze, and he's going to have the observer to see everything that Kal's going to have his observer to see everything that Paralyze is doing. The robotic support bay now going down for Paralyze. So he does have a bit of advantage in that sense. Kal's still not putting down his expansion. I'm not quite sure what his probe is doing yet. I also haven't seen Kal respond by putting down more gateways or anything. So I'm not quite sure. Looks like Kal managing to pick off one of Paralyze's Dragoons. I thought Paralyze might be coming for a bit of a sandwich attack, but that wouldn't work too well going through that little choke point in the middle expansion. There's 2 choke points on this map at the middle, and basically units can only go through single file, and it is not wise to attack through those choke points against an enemy that is entrenched on either side. That's foolish. Looks like Paralyze's economy is certainly booming now. Kal just put down his Nexus 2. So Paralyze is definitely going to have a strong economic advantage for this game. Let's see whether he can translate this into a victory. Now Paralyze just putting down his robotic support bay. Kal is, however, a veteran player, even though he's behind economically. I still think, maybe I give a slight advantage to Paralyze here, but Kal's the sort of player who can definitely come back from this and not be too bothered by the economic advantage of his opponent. He's got the multitasking and the micro to deal with Paralyze, I feel. Looks like Paralyze got a Shadow out, and Kal spots this. The Shadow is certainly going to load up a Reaver, and maybe Paralyze is going to go harass. Paralyze, interesting enough, did not get an Observatory. If Kal had gone for any sort of DT tech, Paralyze would be in serious trouble now. And keeping in mind that Paralyze actually has not scouted Kal, to find what exactly the tech timing is. So he's taking quite a bit of a gamble here. But fortunately for him, Kal has not gone for any sort of DT attack, so a bit lucky on his part. Paralyze does have a massive army out now. Surely that Shadow's got a Reaver loading there. He's got a lot of Dragoons, at least a control group and a half. Kal's army looks puny by comparison. Paralyze is gonna have to take some time before he can march over Kal's base, and Kal's actually moved his army to potentially attack Paralyze's natural. Paralyze is gonna move his army back. I feel if Kal goes for attack, that would be very dangerous. He would likely lose all of his army. Paralyze now just catching up with the rear guard of Kal's army and gonna pick off a unit here and there. Kal can't really actually afford to lose any units. Kal cleverly, with Observer, always tailing that Shadow. He's gonna know exactly what's going on. So Kal managed to get most of his troops away without too much trouble. The Shadow warded off there by 2 Dragoons. Shield Battery, interestingly enough, up for Kal there at his front. He's worried about a direct assault, it looks like. That's the only reason why you get the Shield Battery, and now Kal putting on Citadel of Doom. So Paralyze is in a pretty good position now. He's even put down a Forge to probably start getting some upgrades and a defensive cannon or 2. So yeah, Paralyze has got a big army, bigger than Kal certainly, but You know, as time goes on, Kal's expansion is also going to start working for him, and Paralyze's advantage, relative superiority in troops will get nullified slowly but surely. Absolute advantage, you know, Paralyze will always have the absolute advantage prior to any engagement because he's got his economy up earlier, but you know, the difference between 30 Dragoons versus 25 and, for instance, 15 Dragoons versus 10, it's a big difference. Kal putting down a lot of gateways now. So Paralyze might be trying to make some sort of push here at Kal's front. Kal's got plenty of forces to defend 2 Reavers, and as long as he doesn't screw up any micro, he should be fine. But Paralyze deciding not to go for any sort of attack. He's getting his Templar Archives. Kal already has his up, and Paralyze thinking about expanding again, playing an extremely safe, you know, non-aggressive type game here. I'm not quite sure Paralyze's youngster has what it takes. You know, I thought he should have attacked earlier when he had a superiority, a nice superiority in troops, but by now any sort of direct attack is likely to fail. So I think it's a good thing that he is not attacking now. Expanding is actually a pretty good choice here, considering he has Kal in a bit of a contain in Kal's base. If Kal really wanted to break out, he probably could, but he would lose most of his army, and it would not be worthwhile. Both sides just sort of staring across at each other, from Kal's natural here. Kal is starting to mass up a field of Zealots, but so is Paralyze. Speed upgrade surely going to kick in soon enough for both players. Kal with 1 High Templar already, so I haven't seen any High Templar coming out for Paralyze. Kal just sniping that Observer there. Very nice play. Kal looks like he might be thinking about putting down his 3rd expansion. Paralyze putting down a pylon just to block that. I don't see how Kal would be able to really put down that expansion though. Surely Paralyze will be able to utilize his shuttles to, you know, send in some units to deal with any sort of expansion being put up by Kal there. Not quite sure what exactly either player's plans are at this point. Nothing too exciting happening. Critical difference seems to be Paralyze has morphed Archons, but Kal has Templar. Templar are better, I feel, for these large-scale battles because the Storms do so much more damage, and afterwards you can always morph it into an Archon. Danger, of course, is if you lose the battle, then you lose the Archons too, but the Storms still do more damage, substantially more, I feel, than an Archon would with these large armies. And Kal pushing out, this is going to be a critical battle here. If Kal can win this battle, it would be a good position. Storms going off on the Reavers, but not really catching the Reavers. Looks like Paralyze has much superior conclave on Kal's army. Kal not really able to do any sort of breakthrough attack. Both sides, Reavers is still alive and fine. Tons of Dragoons for Paralyze, just excellent conclave, but Kal does have the advantage of the shorter supply route. Lots of Zealots are coming up to reinforce. One of the Reavers for Kal goes down, but Paralyze's Reavers are both safely in the back, and looks like Kal's army is going to get absolutely destroyed here. Kal lost the battle, and with that he has just lost the game. His army was just not really in good position. I guess he felt he absolutely had to do a breakout. It's GG at this point. Because Paralyze would get his 3rd expansion and then he would run away with the game, but attacking out of his base, and Paralyze here looking very happy, beating a excellent player like Kal, so good for him. But the problem is, of course, that, you know, attacking out, your opponent has such a superior conclave that really he, without a significant advantage in troops, which he did not have, he could not win. So GG. Good job from the youngster.